to the Challenge to Change podcast. My name is Hazel, and this podcast is all about the little changes we can all make that will have a positive effect upon planet Earth. If you're new here, welcome. If you've listened before, welcome back. The Challenge to Change podcast has been brought to you on behalf of ANSA Environmental Services. To find out more about ANSA, please visit ANSA, which is ansa.co.uk. Let's get into the podcast episode. So welcome to this episode of the Challenge to Change podcast. And this episode is all about a circular economy. So what do we mean by the phrase circular economy? Well, it's a model of resource production and consumption in any economy that involves sharing, leasing, reusing, repairing, refurbishing and recycling existing materials and products for as long as possible. So that might sound a little bit complex, and more than that, it may be that people listening are thinking, well, what does that have to do with me? You know, I care about the planet, I want to make a difference, but I can't really have a massive impact on what happens within the economy. So what I want to do with this podcast episode is to break down just five easy wins as to how we can, as individuals, help to support and indeed create more of a circular economy. So the first one is this: create a reusing or recycling program within your workplace, or indeed within your home. So it might not be possible for everybody's workplace to establish a recycling system. And if you don't have one already, then why not get one started if that's possible for you to do as an employee? And if you can't get a recycling system started, then you can create a system to reuse things. So that might just be as simple as writing notes on the back of unwanted, non-confidential print. It all makes a difference, no matter how small, and doing things like this does contribute to a circular economy. If you recycle at home already, are you getting it right, or are you wish cycling? Now, we've talked about wish cycling before on the Challenge to Change podcast, in particular in episodes 69 and 70. And I will place a link in the description to this podcast to those podcast episodes. So if you are recycling at home, and I hope that you are, the first thing to do is visit the website of the local authority that covers the area in which you live. So here, recording this podcast on behalf of ANSA Environmental Services, which operates on behalf of Cheshire East Council, we cover the Cheshire East area. So, in which case, the council in question is Cheshire East Council. So depending on where you live in the country, or indeed the world, that would be your first point of call with regards to how you recycle at home and how you do your best to get that right. So here in Cheshire East, the recycle bin is a silver bin, or we call it a silver bin, but essentially it looks more like grey, but we refer to it as the silver recycling bin. And here in Cheshire East, you can recycle paper, cardboard, metal food and drink cans, glass, squashable plastic, so that's things like single-use plastic bottles. You can also recycle safe aerosols, for example, things like hair products, deodorant, spray polish. They must, of course, be empty before placing them in your recycle bin, and also foil that is free of food contamination. For more information on what you can recycle here in Cheshire East, and indeed what things should and shouldn't go into your bins, then visit the What Waste Goes Where page on the Cheshire East Council's website. But that covers some of the things that we can make use of, or that can be made use of within a circular economy. But what about things that can't be recycled through what is called your curbside collection service? So, do you have unwanted clothes? So, these can't go in your silver recycling bin, but they can be put to good use after you no longer want them. So, why not consider a charity shop or a community recycling app? Or you could even maybe try selling online. Here in Cheshire East, you can also take textiles to textile banks, which are situated on public car parks and near to supermarkets. But maybe you have lots of things that you want to give away or maybe even sell. So why not consider a garage sale or a car boot sale? Another thing that you can do if you want to get rid of something and you want to sell it is look for groups on social media. So for example, on Facebook, also Gumtree is another option if you want to sell something. And that also applies if you want to give something away for free that you no longer want. Another thing that you can do to help support a circular economy is consider refilling household products like shampoo, washing up liquid, laundry detergent by using a refill shop. So do you have a refill shop close to you or fairly close to you? That's really worth considering to help support that circular economy. For more ideas like this, why not visit the Answer Environmental Services social media pages, or indeed visit the Answer Environmental Services website. So another thing that you can do to help support that circular economy is to choose reusable. So what I mean by this is to use reusable bags, bottles and containers within the household. So rather than using single-use items, especially single-use plastic, opt for things that can be used over and over again. So if you're thinking about a shopping bag, pick something, a bag for life, and then continue to use that bag for a very prolonged period of time. Might not quite be for life, but it should be an extended period of time, not using it once and then throwing it away. The same for bottles as well. So if you need to take a drink with you, use a refillable water bottle and make sure that you refill it if you're going to be out for a period of time, rather than opting for a single-use item. So, of course, by doing this reduces waste, and it also effectively reduces the demand for disposable items. So by choosing reusable, we are, as individuals, impacting upon the economy because we are indicating what our buying preference is. So the more we step away from single use, the more we choose to reuse, the more that the manufacturing industry, the people who make the products, will be following those demands from consumers. So we can choose to repair rather than replace. So if we have something that is no longer working, rather than choosing to replace it, we can seek to get it repaired, or maybe even in some cases repair it ourselves. So we can look at repair cafes, which is something that you will find here in Cheshire East, and also moving over into Stoke-on-Trent as well, which is relatively close to Cheshire East depending on where you live. So looking at things like repair cafes, also considering things like online tutorials as well, maybe using something like YouTube, of course depending on what the item in question is. So, for example, has your washing machine broken? Why not consider a repair service rather than disposing and buying new? Sometimes this can work out cheaper, depending on options. So sometimes you can save money by doing things this way. So another thing that we can do is to use pre-loved or opt to purchase pre-loved items. So basically what I mean by that is to choose to buy secondhand, and that can really apply to many different aspects of our lives, from our kitchen to our lounge to our wardrobe. Basically really almost every room in the house could have potentially pre-loved things within it. And of course, the obvious thing to consider here is pre-loved fashion. As you know, we've talked about fast fashion on the podcast many times before. So opting for pre-love, not only does it save money, but in terms of the impact on the planet, it's a much more environmentally sound thing to do. The other thing to consider when we're supporting pre-loved, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get something that is going to appear second-hand. It may well appear completely brand new, near perfect, because sometimes people will only own something for a very short amount of time. Maybe they bought the wrong colour, maybe it was an unwanted gift. There's all kinds of reasons as to why that item that you've purchased, whilst it is second hand, it is actually going to appear essentially brand new. So it is a really useful thing to do. It can still look really good, we're saving money, and of course we are having a positive impact on the planet and supporting the circular economy. So the final quick win is, when choosing products or services, consider their entire life cycle. So what I mean by this is, if, for example, you are choosing to buy, a new coat, for example, and you do want to buy one that is brand new. So let's say for some reason purchasing a pre-loved coat is not an option, and you want to buy a coat that is brand new. So when doing that, consider how long it's going to last. So in this case, it may well be choosing something that is perhaps a little bit more expensive, it's high quality, it's something that is going to kind of last the distance. And also, another example might be if you choose to purchase a sofa, for example, whether that be a pre-loved sofa or a brand new sofa, maybe choose something in fairly neutral colours rather than going for something in a colour that matches your current style in your room. So what we can then do is, maybe if we want to make it look a certain way, we might put a throw on it or some cushions that match the colour of the room, rather than the whole sofa matching the colour of the room. So in that way, you're choosing something that is going to last you a lot longer, because regardless of those decoration changes that you make, that sofa is still going to fit in to that particular room. So those are two examples there of how we can choose something that is going to last the distance. So we're looking at the life cycle of the item in question. The other thing that we can do when we're thinking about the life cycle of a product, can it be easily recycled or repurposed? Are we looking at how durable it is, how easy it would be to repair? The other things that we consider is trying to avoid fast fashion that we've already mentioned, but also fast tech. So fast tech is much the same as fast fashion. It's something that is possibly quite expensive to buy, but it's something that's going to very quickly go out of fashion. So it's no longer going to be desirable to keep and kind of maintain. So avoiding those kind of fast tech options as much as we would want to avoid fast fashion, and perhaps even more so in the case of fast tech because of the amount of money we might potentially spend in the first place. But in short, when we're looking at a circular ethos, you're considering what you will keep on using. You're looking at things that will last for a much longer period of time rather than something that will just suffice for now. So I really hope that you found some useful information within this podcast episode. In short, one of the most important things that we can do as individuals to contribute to a circular economy is using our individual buying power, so that we are, as individuals, making choices as consumers and as people that are more ethical and have a more positive impact upon planet Earth. And of course, the more that people do that, those numbers will start to increase. So the more that we do that, the more that has a knock-on effect, a knock-on positive effect for planet Earth. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast episode, and I will of course check in with another episode really soon. Bye for now.